I got something to say. Take a deep breath in and think about all the things in the last week that you would consider wins. What would they be? Come on. I know you have so many. I want to hear about them. My guest coming in, Loren. I love this woman. Loren Armenti. I met her, let me see, where did I meet Loren? Oh, at a NABO event. And we just hit it off. And then all of a sudden, I kept seeing her everywhere and we kept connecting. And when I was thinking about, I need to bring people on during the month of July to remind you of how freaking awesome you are, just the way you are, with all your unique and crazy gifts, that you don't have to change them, you just have to embrace them. And I thought of Loren, and I'm bringing her in now. Yay! I'm wearing a lily top. Yes, I know I'm wearing a lily top. I love it. It's fun. It's bright. It's cool beans. There she is.
Oops, I got my camera the wrong way.
I'm like, wait a minute. Wait. I felt the presence of light as soon as you entered the room.
Well, you asked, make sure the lighting is good. I'm like, okay, lights abound.
You look great, by the way. You look great, and I love your background.
Thank you.
All right, so I've been babbling on about who knows what, but before we do, I'm going to tell them a little bit about you. I love the way you put this. Facilitated CEO mastermind groups and coach CEOs with the Vistage International for 12 years. Currently, professionally certified coach for CEOs and C-suite execs. Working now with organizations to develop strategies that identify where their competition isn't and leverage that opportunity to dominate their market. Use the framework, which we'll talk about, of Blue Ocean Strategy Shift. Currently in programs become certified Blue Ocean Strategy practitioner. That's what we were talking about at the NABO event. That's right. All right. Let's hold off on the blue ocean. Let's get into the one thing you wanted to tell women around the world. And we're going to shorten, I'll let you add, which is what this month was about, and I brought you in for that reason. Have the courage to be you in all your uniqueness and bring all your unique gifts to the world. We need it. I was thinking of you the other day because one of the women at some event, she didn't realize that for months I had broken my little toe, right? So I was taking my sneakers and cutting out the sides so my toe could go through and then putting all these fun things on it.
I remember I saw you a couple times.
Well, she didn't realize my toe was broken. And she was saying at this gathering that Sandy is uniquely and unapologetically her. She wears funky stuff on her shoe just because. And I didn't tell her my foot was broken.
No judgment here.
Yeah, so because she wanted, we were talking about that. What do you think it means to be unapologetically you? What does that mean? When someone says you are unapologetically you, what does that mean to you, Lauren?
You know, I think sometimes we just read too much into it. It means exactly that. You are, every single person is unique. I mean, we are told that when we're little kids growing up, but then the world kind of gets a hold of us, and there are rules, and there are, social norms and things that you should do and shouldn't do and be socially acceptable and politically correct. And soon enough, after not too long, we're not ourselves anymore. We're like everybody else, more or less. And we lose our uniqueness. And my belief is God made us this way for a specific reason. And if he was okay with it, or she, whatever, then why can't we be? So when I say be unapologetic, I mean, me, I've just come to embrace, and all my flaws. I mean, I'm loud. I am not the loudest, but I'm loud. I have no filter. And I've come to realize that some people, not all, really appreciate that just boldness and that honesty. And I don't mean any harm, certainly, but it just kind of comes out of my mouth. So everybody just be yourself. I really want to know what makes you unique. I want to get to know you. Everybody else, you know, if everyone's the same, it gets kind of boring. Spice it up a little.
Okay. So, and I do agree with you on all counts. You know, we know it, and I think it's very sneaky. You know,
Yes.
because you think, hey, I'm being unique. I got it going on. But all the messages you're hearing, it bombards you. And before you know it, you're doing things. You're like, wait a minute, that's not even my personality. Like, what am I doing? And it is easier with age. But you think it, you know, becomes easier as you get older.
Well, are we allowed to curse on your podcast?
Yes.
Okay. One of my friends said,
I don't think they're going to shut us off.
one of my friends said years ago, you know, when you're in your 50s, hello, you just reach a point when you're just completely out of fucks. And in most circumstances, I don't really care what the masses think. And you're right, it is insidious. We're outnumbered. There's a whole, messages are from everywhere, whether it's, you know, a fashion magazine or, you know, an exercise program or a business, whatever. Where do we fit in?
Yeah.
And we don't unless we make room for ourselves, right? It's up to us.
I think that your message fits your business message perfectly.
I hope so.
It fits your personality. It really does, you know? And it is needed. And I'm here every day. I wake up and I say, I'm grateful for the unique blessings and let me shine light on others' unique gifts. I still need to remind myself every day. It's not like, okay, I got that down, you know? Because I'll think that, and then I'll be on social media or in a group, and I'll be like, what am I doing? And it takes me a beat. And I've been practicing a long time. So the more and more we say that and embrace it, it's great. So I want to dive into this question I got over and over again when they found out you were coming on the show. The biggest question they want to know is, were you like this your entire life? Were you always that person like, yo, this is me? Or did it happen over time?
Yes and no. And I'm sure I'm not, my guess is other people can relate to this. I think if you ever watch a child, they're just pure. They're just them. They have no awareness of anything. Nothing. They have this crazy imagination. They play. You know, whatever. So in that sense, me and everybody else, yes, we were always this way. And then the world gets a hold of us, as I say. And then we go to school, and then we learn, you know, to play nice, and which is fine. And we, you know, we learn to stand in line, and we learn to, you know, not curse, and, you know, speak properly, and whatever. So gradually, I think for me, I wrote it, and I do remember so many times growing up that I was like, I felt like I was just put in a bottle, and I wanted to, like, you shake a can of soda and you wanted to just get out, but I couldn't. I wasn't allowed, so it wasn't acceptable. And nothing crazy. I mean, just, I don't know, laugh at the wrong time or whatever.
Wow, right?
Right. The wrong time. That's the other thing. There's so much judgment. Who decided there's a right time and a wrong time for whatever, you know? So, and I'm going to, you know, speaking in generalities, you know, certainly respect and caring and love and all of that. I honor, at least I try to. But I lost myself. You know, growing up, you know, I was raised Catholic. You know, had, rules in our home. I, had relationships that probably didn't best serve me, and I did lose myself. And then one day I just woke up and I'm like, who am I? And how did I get here?
Yeah.
And then became the journey to really answer that question.
I told you, it's sneaky, isn't it? Then you're like, wait a minute.
There's that analogy of the frog in a pot of boiling water. It starts out, just room temperature, and the heat gradually goes up and up and up until it boils to death. It's kind of like that. You're not careful.
No, I didn't know that analogy, but my poor little frog, I love froggies.
No. I know.
Okay. Now I got to get that vision out of my head. All right. So around what age were you when you were like, okay, what the heck am I doing? And I got to get out of this.
Not long ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So I have a lifetime of head trash to unravel. I have a dumpster of head trash.
I love that analogy. Which leads us into the second question. Let's say, I make up names, that Sally Beth, I think Sally is 28. Where does she start if she feels as if she's been put in this tight box? She's gone to medical school of what her family wants her to do, and she don't want to do it anymore. Where does she start? Now, I don't know if you can answer that, but Sally wants to know.
Yeah, Sally, I can relate. I'm sure other people can too. I would say, I think it all starts with recognizing and being honest with who you are and what feels good. And I have learned, I always thought it was kind of woo-woo stuff. Oh, pay attention to your gut instinct, or, how you feel. Well, let me tell you, there's something to that, and we can get into the whole metaphysics of it all, but that's your guidance system. If it doesn't feel good and you're not excited about it, and you don't want to jump out of bed every morning and tackle the day, figure out why not and get that out of your life. And sometimes, listen, I cleaned house. There was a point in my life I lost everything, from my car to my cat, relationships, home, business, client. I mean, burnt to the ground, done. And it really shined a light on.
Girl. Oh my goodness, good for
really
you.
Shined a light on who I had in my life. And I kind of thought, well, I've come this far, I might as well just flush it all out. So really, I've cleaned house, and I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I think
so brave, man. That is so brave.
Well, when you've got nothing to lose, it gets a lot easier. It's really, it's kind of like, when you're, I don't know, you're cleaning out your closet, and at first you're like, oh, but I really like that. And by the end, you're like, toss it, everything. Yeah. It's kind of like that.
I just did that last week. 10 huge contractor bags. I don't need anything.
And then 3 weeks later, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So back to Sally. Be true to yourself and do it. It takes work. There's a reason why it's called a practice. Like you said, you get up every single day. The world sends us messages. And the more you tell your brain the same thing over and over again, the more you believe it. So start telling your brain what you want it to be, what you want it. There's a reticular activating system. Set that into motion. If you're in med school, look that up, Sally. But the younger you start and not buy into what everybody thinks you should do, the happier you're going to be. It's all that I can tell you, my experience, trying to please everybody else, you end up being miserable, and then everybody's miserable. It just doesn't work. So take stock and have the courage. It takes courage. There is a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. I'll give Francesca Zampaglione. She has another podcast, Office Flip Flops. Fantastic. And she always has, when she advertises it, she sends out a really cool quote. And today happened to be apropos of this. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. It ain't easy. It takes courage to stand up and defy convention. And sometimes you're standing out there all by yourself. And sometimes that's the best place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think the sticky wicket for Sally Bell, and it's going to even take more courage, is to be able to tell her parents that. You know,
I've
I
been
think.
there.
Oh, really?
I've been there, going into the family business, not the mafia. I said, but I'm just saying.
I was just wondering.
No,
Let's
no.
clear it up.
But it was, working with my dad and in finance. Now, anybody knows me knows that the world is a better place if I do not touch numbers. And sales, I suck at because I was brought up not to ask for money. So it really is not a good combination. But that was his business. He wanted me to go into it. And I thought, sure, why not? I don't know what else I want to do. And it was painful. I hated it every day for 15 years. So, yeah.
15
Because
years?
I did what I was told to do, right? If I could take those 15 years back, I mean, it was a total loss, but still, gosh, Sally, get out.
Okay, what?
It's like being married, not that I ever have been, but I would imagine if you are that day of your wedding and you're like, whew, I'm making a mistake, but man, this is a huge bill here that we're, a lot of money we're dropping. I better just go through with this. No.
Okay.
Don't do it.
All right, so we have so many questions about that. So I get if you're not like, okay, I'm going to be an engineer, and you have this opportunity, it makes sense. You would go into it. It makes sense to me. Did you know though right away that what the heck am I doing, or over time did you realize this is not for me?
There's another expression. The reason for the divorce was apparent on the first date. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, we know instantly.
Oh.
But so often we ignore it because it's not the easy thing to do in that moment. It gets a lot harder down the road.
Right, basically. Okay.
It gets a lot harder down the road to undo it.
Yeah.
That as difficult as it may seem in that moment, that's the easiest it's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did Dad take it?
We might have to edit this part out, but
okay. No. You can just say, let's just move on,
yeah.
Weston.
It didn't go well. My dad was a bit of a control freak, so he didn't take kindly to it. He was not very supportive, I'll just say that.
Okay. And so after you left, you said you were there for 15 years. How long was it before you found what you're doing now?
Almost, gosh, I don't know, probably close to 10 years.
Okay.
But if I paid attention to my gut instinct, it would have been a lot sooner. I didn't have the confidence. I didn't have I didn't allow myself to dream and envision what this could be.
Gotcha. Wow.
I feel
I didn't know.
As I'm talking, I'm like, crap, I wasted my entire life. So, Sally, you're young. We can save you. Just live your life. Oh.
As to quote you, if it's not a hell yeah, it's a hell no.
So true. Why can't it be? And I think we're told, be happy. Well, and then, life doesn't exactly pave that way for you, but it's up to us to do that. And to choose, we have the ability to choose. I was raised, you're a victim of your circumstances, and that dictates your emotions. And not true. You're in charge of your emotions, how you respond to everything. Choose the things that make you happy.
Yeah.
Because if you're not happy, you're of no benefit to the rest of the world.
I had one of my clients, oh my gosh, I wish you were here to talk to him. He said, this is my family's philosophy. It was. And now he's 35 and he's doing great. It was like, we just want you to be happy. We just want you to be happy. We don't care. We just want you to be happy. But do what I say.
Exactly.
Right. We just want you to be happy, but listen to me because I know better. We just want you to be happy, but this is how it is.
And I think I give people the benefit of the doubt. Like I said before, I think they have the best, his family has the best of intentions. They really do believe that's the best thing for him.
Absolutely. I say that There are many well-meaning, let's go with well-meaning, but they only are looking at it from their life and their perspective, and they're not you. So they might have, and I do think most people have great intentions, especially your family friends that love you, but they're not standing where you are. So it's just one piece of the puzzle. You know, it's just one person to say, okay, I'm going to take that under advisement. All right, so I could talk to you forever about this. I had no idea. This is all great stuff, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about why you got into the Blue Ocean strategy, because I found it fascinating when you spoke at NABO. And I'm so happy for you. So just dive a little bit into what that is.
Blue Ocean Strategy is a book that came out in 2005. And it's, if you're in business, read it. I did not author it. It's written by W. Jan Kim and Renee Mogborn. And it is a framework for business, for organizations. It could be a department, nonprofit, fortune family, solopreneur, it doesn't matter. And it walks you through a framework to identify where your competition is not and identify that opportunity and then leverage it in a way that gives more value to the end user and more profit on the organization's bottom line. It's interesting you ask why. And if 2 years ago I didn't have that answer. And a dear colleague of mine asked me the same question, like, you know, you light up when you talk about this stuff. Yeah, what is it about it? And I didn't have an answer because I hadn't finished doing the work. Not that I ever would, but on myself, like, I love this stuff, but why is that? And I realized I've never really been a big fan of rules. And this framework gives you license to break the rules, to look at any industry and say, you know, this is the way it's always done, or we don't do it that way, and throw that out the window and say, how could we do it differently? Everyone's over there. What's over here? So I've always been that curious, creative person, like looking at something and saying, what if we did it that way? What happens if we pull that lever? So it gives me license to be me. And it really is suited to work with organizations and say, we don't have to play by the rules, and we're probably going to be better off if we don't. So they used to have a practitioner program. I think they stopped it in 2015 or 2018. You used to have to go to France for it, but through the magic of 2020, everyone learned how to do things virtually, and now it's online. They started up again last month. It's kicking my tail. I've been studying this book for almost 10 years, and 20 years. I thought I knew it. I am humbled and grateful. So it's really, really cool. I can't wait to get out there and bring this to businesses and organizations. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Wait a minute. You have been studying the book for 20 years. Wow. And you're now in the course. And it's like, I didn't know how much I didn't know. But
well, exactly. Yes.
And it seems to me that it's even more exciting to you.
Oh, it's kind of like now I got the secret sauce.
Yeah. Yeah. You're excited. Like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I have to give this to everybody. Oh, I have to give this to everybody. So when you're doing it, yeah.
The instructor it's global, so he's in Singapore. Hilarious. And he said, listen, the first day he goes, I'm not going to teach you anything in the book. You can read the book. He said, I'll use a race car as an example. You know how to drive? I'm going to teach you how to race. I was like, well, alrighty then. Giddy up. So it's been amazing. So I am excited. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No. Just say, shut up, Weston. I got something to say. Hey, I got something. So, with what you're doing now and becoming a Blue Ocean practitioner, will you shift all the way into it, or is it something you apply to what you're already doing?
It is what I'm already doing. Now I'm just doing it better.
Honesty.
Yeah.
No, I can relate to that because when everything shut down, I decided to take a course in heroic public speaking, shout out for keynote speaking. And it was an intense year course. And so many people were like, you've been speaking for years. You're a natural. Why are you taking this course? And somebody had recommended it to me. And guess what? It kicked my butt. It was at least 20 hours of work a week. And I didn't know what I didn't know.
I worked on this week's assignment for 11 hours yesterday. I've got a lot more to do today. Yeah.
That's exciting.
I am so lit up by it. Yes.
Yeah. So what is your ideal client?
Believe it or not.
Do you like working?
Yeah, it's more of a psychographic. Those business leaders that are adrenaline junkies. And not because they like the thrill or whatever, but it's the way that they think. They look at a terrain before them, whether it's skiing or surfing or rock climbing, and they calculate a path forward, knowing that at any given moment they might have to shift because everything is out of their control and will change. And if they don't adapt, they die, usually quite literally. So that mindset of embracing change lends itself well. People who don't have all the answers, people that are learners, they're always curious, those kinds of people. Businesses that, if you're talking numbers, usually small to medium-sized business, 50 to 500 in revenue. Pretty much it. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Come along. It's a wild ride. It's so cool because there's always that crossover point in a client engagement when they look at, and the team is sitting in the room and it goes dead quiet. And I love this moment. It happens almost every time. And you see the eyes darting, like looking at each other like, it can't be that simple. If it were that simple, everyone would be doing it. Yeah. But everybody goes, it's like we're having this conversation about being unique. Everyone goes marching to the same drummer, and you start to tune out all the other options and possibilities.
Yeah. We overcomplicate things. One of my big sayings is, why are you making such a big, hairy deal out of things? But we do. We feel like you have to go uphill both ways in order for it to work. And it's just not true.
In the snow. Yeah. Occam's razor. It's usually the simplest is the best.
Loren, I'm sad. We're running out of time, and I want to make sure I ask you, is there anything we didn't get in that you want to tell the women and the men around the world that are tuning in?
Just be yourself. Oh, there is one thing. You had asked me some questions ahead of time, and I have to give Francesca props for this one too. Pay attention to the things that the world criticizes you for, makes fun of you for, because those are your gifts.
Amen. Love that one. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. That's a good one to end on. All right. Where can they find you? Look you up. Where do you hang out?
I am on LinkedIn. I knew what you meant. When I'm not on your podcast, I am on LinkedIn, Loren Armenti. You can look me up. Website is under construction. I just went through a growth boot camp and now the certification, so a lot's changed. I just took it all down again, burned it all down, build it back up again. So that is under construction. So right now, LinkedIn.
Okay, that's a great place. All right, I got something to say. People, don't you worry if you missed this, you didn't tune in to the beginning, or you want to share it with others. When we're done here, I will push record, and then we'll put it on every single platform. And Loren and I would both appreciate you liking, rating it, and sharing it with as many people as you think it will touch them. And until next time, you know what I'm going to say. Toodles!
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, Loren.
Bye now.